My name is Isabella Ricci. I was born in Livorno, Italy in 1929. I was daughter, sister, survivor, prostitute, accomplice, prisoner, and all of that before 30. Now, at 76, I tell this story from cell 32 of Block B, where the only visitor I get is the wind through the crack in the window. You must be wondering how all this happened, right? Don't worry, I'll explain everything through these diaries. And before I continue this story, I want to make a special request. Write in the comments which city and country you are watching this video from. It's incredible to see how these stories reach people in different situations and so many parts of the world. I want to know how far this message goes. In Livorno, before the war, I was an ordinary girl. Our house smelled of fresh bread. My father was a baker, as his father had been. My mother used to say my hands were too small to knead, but that I had good ears for keeping stories. She liked to sing while she cleaned the kitchen. There were 5 of us: my parents, my 3 brothers, and me, the youngest, the only girl. My mother protected me from the world. My brothers would lift me on their shoulders and say I was light as a little bird. Our house was in the old part of town. The roof leaked in winter and the floor was cold even in summer, but it was ours, with walls full of portraits and shelves full of nothing. When the war began, I was still too young to understand. I was 13 when the first shadow of the war came down our street. At first, it seemed distant. Then the uniforms arrived. Food started to vanish from the shelves. The town fell silent. Children stopped playing in the streets. Adults began to whisper. In the winter of 1943, the city of Livorno was bombed. The Allies were advancing along the lines, and coastal towns became targets. I was at home. That was the day I lost everything. I remember the smoke before the sound, the ground trembling. I remember running barefoot to the bakery, my mother's scream. Then, silence. I woke days later in an improvised hospital, gauze on my leg and my face covered in dry dust. A nurse called me lucky. The doctor said I was the only survivor. The building had collapsed. My father was found under the oven. My mother, gone. My brothers swallowed by the walls. No bodies, only rubble. What I felt was not pain, nor fury. It was emptiness, a kind of silence that settled into my bones and never left. After that, nobody came to look for me. No uncles, no grandparents, no cousins. The war had already taken everyone, and what was left did not want what I had become. I stayed on the streets. I slept behind the hospital. I ate scraps. I stole apples. A butcher beat me for trying to take stale bread from his counter. My leg hurt. My hands cracked. But I was alive. And later I would learn, surviving is the slowest kind of pain. My first time wasn't by choice. I was still very young and it was out of need. An Italian soldier saw me sitting in the square with hunger in my eyes. He was drunk. He smiled. He called me over. He offered a loaf of bread, a bottle of wine, and 2 folded bills. I knew what he wanted. I went anyway. He took me to a room in a basement. He didn't say much. He took off his clothes and told me to stay quiet. I obeyed. When it was over, he gave me the bread and the cash. I sat on the floor and ate. My thighs ached. In that moment, I understood that my body was the only thing left to me, the sole currency in a world of ruins. The endless cycle followed. After him came German officers, Italian soldiers, and later, Americans, each with his language, his brutality, his hurry, each taking a piece of me I could never get back. I learned to smile when I had to pretend it hurt less, to hide the nausea. My body became a tool. My name became forgettable. Some gave me chocolate. Others slapped me. Some wanted fake love. I pretended to feel pleasure and hid the fear, until one of them, an American soldier named James, said something that changed my life. "You're too smart to die here, girl. Go to America. There, a pretty woman like you can have a better life." He gave me $20 and a coat, the first gift not paid for with my body. I saved the money for weeks until I found a man who made false papers. I took on a new name, Isabella De Luca. I bought a ticket on a cargo ship and sailed for America. The crossing, the sea between 2 hells. The ship was old, noisy, full of rats. The captain was an Italian with yellow teeth and hungry eyes. He said he'd let me travel, provided I showed my thanks occasionally. I did what I had to survive. He took me at night, and by day I washed the sailors' laundry so I wouldn't starve. There was another woman on board named Teresa. She was 40, from Poland, and had already lost 2 children to the war. She told me, "The body recovers. The soul, I don't know." We became friends. We slept near the engine, warm, but deaf to the world. Teresa taught me to pray, to pretend to have hope, but she died on the 12th day, vomiting blood. I buried her at sea. When her body sank, I understood. There is no mourning when there is no time to grieve. New York, the city that waits for no one. I arrived in the United States in February 1946. I had dreams and no luggage. I was stopped at immigration. An officer asked me who my husband was. I said I didn't have one. They sent me to screening. I was detained for 2 days until an Italian-American nurse helped me, and they let me go. I walked all day. I sat on the curb in front of a laundromat and cried. My feet bled and my stomach made a dry sound, complaining that it still worked. I was about to give up when I heard someone speaking Italian, a southern accent. I turned with swollen eyes and saw a woman with short hair, a cigarette between her fingers, and a look that didn't hesitate. She asked if I was from Tuscany. I said yes. She asked if I had somewhere to sleep. When I said no, she nodded and told me to follow her. That's how I met Rosa Marini. In that moment, without knowing it, she saved my life. They say everything in New York happens fast, but pain doesn't. Pain comes slow, it settles, and it never leaves. Rosa showed me what loyalty among women of the life means. She took me to an apartment in the Bronx where she shared space with 2 other women. Everything was small. The room, the kitchen, the windows. But there was hot coffee, dry towels, and a bed with a blanket. Rosa gave me soap, taught me to wash clothes, to cut out moldy bits of bread, and to hide a coin in my shoe for the days everything went wrong. She was pragmatic. She never told me she loved me, but she treated me as if my body mattered, not only as merchandise, but as something alive. She was a prostitute too, for years. She explained the trade with cold respect. She warned me the world out there didn't want our stories, only what we could give in return. She was the one who took me to the Golden Fig. Upstairs at the bar was a theater of survival. The Golden Fig was an old place that smelled of flat beer and mildew. But above, one of 9th Avenue's most discreet brothels operated. It was run by a woman called Mama Lucia, who looked carved from Sicilian stone. Strong arms, a hoarse voice, eyes that saw everything before it happened. Lucia looked me up and down, impassive. She asked if I could smile. I said yes. She said that from that night on, I would be Bella, and that I better get used to that name, because the other one would no longer suit me. My first night was with a laborer, a dirty face, heavy hands, garlic breath. He used me in silence. When he left a folded bill on the dresser. I left the room feeling something run between my legs. Blood, maybe, or the remains of who I had been. Rosa waited outside and handed me a cigarette. She said I'd done what was necessary. I don't remember if I cried, but I remember the taste of the smoke. I learned fast, maybe too fast. Men were predictable. Many wanted to pretend they were romantic. Others enjoyed humiliation. Some only needed someone to fall asleep beside. And all of them in some way came in pieces. I learned who paid more, who lied better, who hid rage, who wanted to kill something inside himself. Soon I became the house favorite, not because of beauty, but because I knew how to listen. I knew how to be what the other needed for 15 minutes. Lucia marketed me as exotic. Italian, but different. The clients bought it. I smiled. Inside, I only counted the days. That's where he appeared. Matteo Ruggeri, dark jacket, polished shoes, neatly combed hair. He never smiled. He observed, as if choosing a rare piece. He wasn't any client. He was Don Angelo's son, a name heavy on the tongues of anyone who wanted to stay alive in New York. Nobody spoke loudly when Matteo was around. He sat at the back of the bar, ordered wine, and watched me. For weeks he kept coming back. He never took me upstairs. He just watched. Sometimes we talked after my dance. He spoke of Naples, of business, of his father, Don Angelo Ruggeri, one of the most feared names among the city's Italians. Mateo spoke like a man who'd already won, but without hurry. Everything about him seemed rehearsed. I thought it was elegant. Today I see it was coldness. Over time, he began to take me out. Private dinners, rides in a black car, an apartment paid for where I could rest. He told me I deserved more, that he could protect me, that maybe one day he'd marry someone like me. I wanted to believe. Or maybe I simply accepted the comfort of a pretty lie. Mateo brought me into the family, but only as far as it suited him. I met men whose surnames made cops swallow hard. I saw deals closed with a nod. I learned not to ask questions, not to smile too much. I was used as a distraction. At parties, it was my job to make guests relax. I learned to read a contract hidden inside an envelope. Mateo taught me things, as if shaping a tool. He never said he loved me. He never said I was disposable either. I lived in that dangerous middle ground where silence felt like affection and pleasure was a kind of currency. Still, I believed he felt something, at least a proud possessiveness. Maybe he did, but not the way I needed. Sean Callahan Jr. was the opposite of all that. I met Sean on a Sunday, son of old Callahan, a boss of the Irish side, the other side of the war. He came into the bar laughing, loud, wearing a leather jacket that smelled of whiskey. He might have been just another rich man with time, but there was something in his eyes that didn't study me. It sought me. He said my silence was more elegant than any dress in the city. For the first time in years, I laughed for real. He asked me out on a Saturday. He said he wanted to see me away from that place. And so it began. Hidden first dates. Then whole nights in a small Harlem apartment. Sean asked for nothing. He brought food, spoke of books he might not have read, told stories that felt invented. I wanted to believe, or at least I wanted to pretend. With him, I felt light, as if the weight of war, loss, prostitution, and the mob vanished. I knew it was dangerous. The Callahans were direct enemies of Mateo's family, but I convinced myself I could keep it separate, that it was possible to live between two worlds without being swallowed by either. Sometimes that's enough for a woman to believe she can be loved. I was torn, and I didn't see that I was already being watched. I thought I hid it well, that Mateo didn't know, that the two worlds didn't touch. I was careful. Not careful enough. Mateo knew. He knew from the start. He let me be with Sean. He let me fall in. And while he did, he asked me to see him more. Said he missed me. Touched me with more tenderness. Praised me again. I believed I was wanted back. What he wanted was information, and I, without realizing, gave it. I spoke about Callahan movements, about a dinner where Sean mentioned fragile alliances inside his own group. I spoke small things in moments of trust. In a bed, with a glass of wine, thinking I spoke with a man who only wanted to protect me, that there was still love, a distorted form of care. One day Mateo took me to a meeting in a restaurant basement. There were armed men, full glasses, maps spread on the table. I sat quietly in a corner. I heard phrases I didn't fully understand. He brought me home afterward. He kissed my forehead and said I was the only one he trusted. I wanted to believe him. 3 days later, Sean was killed. The news came on the radio. A bar in the Bronx. A shootout. 6 dead. One of them was him. I stood in the middle of the room for hours. The tea cooled on the table. I didn't cry. I felt a hole open inside me, like the one the bomb made in Livorno years before. I went to Mateo. I needed to understand. I wanted consolation. I still thought he was my safe harbor. He received me calmly, poured a drink, sat beside me, and looked at me like someone watching a broken clock. Then, in the coldest voice I'd ever heard, he said I had been perfect. That Sean trusted me so completely, he delivered everything. And with that, they got what they needed. He said I was only a piece, and that now I could disappear if they wished. I didn't cry in front of him. I didn't scream. I only listened. In that moment, I realized Sean had died because he loved me, and I had killed him by trusting the wrong man. The police didn't take long. 2 days later, I was arrested. They called me accomplice, mistress, informant. Newspapers said I was the woman behind the murder. Rosa tried to defend me. She said I didn't know, that I was innocent. No one believed her. Women like us are never granted the benefit of the doubt. We are always the serpent, the temptation, The guilty one, Matteo, vanished. Don Angelo vanished too. I was left, tried, convicted, forgotten. My crime was loving two men in a world where love is weakness. One used me, the other died for trusting me. And me? I kept living. The slowest punishment of all. The worst part of growing old isn't the failing body. It's a memory that keeps working. Time does not pass in here. It accumulates. The cell where I spend my days is the size of a child's room. 3 paces from wall to door, 2 from bed to toilet. The paint peels slowly, as if to keep me company. By day, there are voices, fake laughter, muffled shouts, terse orders. At night, everything becomes a silence heavy with held breaths. I've learned to recognize who cries without sound. Prison didn't destroy me. It revealed me. Here, I was forgotten by everyone but myself. And maybe that's what hurts most. Loneliness in here has a name, a smell, and a sound. I lived with women of every kind. Thieves, murderers, mothers, orphans, victims. Some couldn't bear it. Others clung to God. I didn't. I never found God in Bible pages, but sometimes I felt something like it when I heard someone laugh truly. Once a girl named Angie asked why I was here. She said I looked like a teacher, not a killer. I answered that I was neither. I was just someone who chose to trust the wrong person, and paid dearly. She asked if I had killed anyone. I said I killed the only man who loved me, unintentionally, and that doesn't make the guilt any smaller. Sean's face still visits me at night. I wake sometimes with the sense of his smell in the room. Cheap cologne mixed with strong coffee. Sean appears older than he was when he died, as if time moved on for him somewhere the world is fairer. We don't speak in those memories. He only looks at me, and I understand what he doesn't say, that he forgives me, that he knows I didn't know, that dying for love may have been less cruel than living with a lie, but I carry it every day. The fact that his death came by my hand, even if unintentional. Sometimes I try to remember the exact words I spoke to Matteo when I confronted him, but memory won't give me the sound. Only the hollow feeling of standing empty before a man who was never mine. I've written letters I never sent. I keep a notebook with loose sentences, scraps of thought. I have torn many pages. Others I hid behind the bed, afraid a guard might play editor. I wrote to Sean so many times I lost count. I asked forgiveness, tried to explain the inexplicable, told him he was my clean part, even amid the filth. I wrote to Rosa too, the only woman who truly protected me. I don't know if she's alive, if she remembers me. I wrote to myself, as the 15-year-old covered in blood and cheap wine in that first soldier's basement. I told her she wasn't to blame, that she only tried not to die. Those letters are my prayers. Matteo never reappeared. They say he fled to Argentina. Others swear he was killed by his own men. Some believe he lives under another name in a mansion surrounded by silence. It doesn't matter. What matters is he won. He used love as a weapon. He used me as a bridge, then discarded me like an empty glass. But time does what justice did not. And I know, with the certainty that only pain gives, that he never loved anyone. That is, more than any prison, a sentence that never ends. The other women call me La Signora, not out of respect, but because of age. Some ask me for advice. Others just want stories. I tell pieces, never everything. I fear knowing too much might kill them in some way. I've seen women die in here over small things. A wrong word, a misread look, a silence at the wrong time. Surviving in prison requires the same skills as outside, knowing when to disappear and being strong when you're alone. Maybe that's why I remain. I was always good at disappearing. My sentence was life, but my life had ended before that. When the judge read the verdict, I didn't cry. I looked at no one. I only remembered the last time I heard Sean call me Bella. I understood then that prison was only the materialization of what I already felt. I belonged nowhere. They called me accomplice, murderer, high-class prostitute, but no one wanted to look inside. For the girl from Livorno who survived a bombing and once believed she deserved to be loved, prison only put bars where broken promises used to be. I don't want forgiveness. I want to be remembered in truth. This is not a confession. It is not an apology. It is a testimony, something I leave behind before time takes me too. I want someone, somewhere, to know that I existed, that I had a name, that I made mistakes, that I loved, that I was betrayed, and that, even without killing anyone with my own hands, I was responsible for the death of someone who gave me everything without asking for anything in return. That, yes, is a perpetual sentence. If I could say something to the young Isabella, I would tell her not to trust pretty eyes, to trust hunger, not promises, and to understand that loving does not save anyone. It only complicates the end. I would also tell her that she was strong, that she survived, and that, in the end, that was the only choice left. My name is Isabella Ricci. I was prostitute, lover, bait, accomplice, and prisoner. And all of that because at some point I thought it was possible to love in the middle of a war. Now I am only an old woman, but while my voice lasts, it will tell this: truth kills less than silence. And if you liked this story, don't forget to leave your comment, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next stories. Follow us on social media and share this with anyone who needs to hear this message. Your support helps us continue. Now I've done the same with this script and delivered it to you.